Now we're connecting. This is the Connect podcast at Lovers Lane event, uh, put on by Los Lecheros and Cielu Art. And we are connecting with, share your name,
Gabriela López.
Gabriela Lopez. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a public school teacher. I currently work at USF as an adjunct instructor, and I'm the board president of the Board of Education in San Francisco.
Nice. Love it. Love it. All of that sounds super amazing. It sounds like you're connected in all the different levels, just in person and teaching them,
That's right.
with students. You're on the ground and you're in the policy work, which is amazing because I'm a big believer that we need those bridges, right? We need those people connecting from the community to the systems, right? To the, in the policies and to have that voice, give us like, that is listening to the Latinos in San Francisco and giving that feedback to
Yep.
the people, right? And so, thank you for joining us. Just so you know a little bit about our podcast. This podcast is called the Connect Podcast, hosted by me, EstelaNataly on Instagram, and Ruben. He's recording some visuals right now, our first series is really connect. We keep using like the word connected.
Well, I was going to say that too. I'm like, you're talking about connections.
It's all connected, and it's because it's our first series is going to be In la Kesh Alakin. Tú eres mi otro yo. You are the other me, right? I am here because of you. What I do unto you, I do unto myself, right? Si te hago daño a ti, me hago daño a mí misma, right? If I hurt and if I harm you, I'm harming myself, right? And so, kind of connecting in Lakesh I want to see where you might see that connection in what you're doing in the policy work as president of the Board of Education. I'm so sorry. And like how do you like see that like connected there? I know, our first episode is going to be on how we do have that relationship and connection with our city officials. But I want to talk about how there's still like we want to connect, but there's still such a like divide. There's such a gap, right, between what the policymakers are doing and what's really going on the ground and what the people actually need and want, and the voice of the people. I feel like it's not really being heard at the moment. I know that there's some stuff going on. Would you like to just kind of share a little bit about where you're at right now with the Board of Education?
Yeah. So the reason why this resonates with me so much is all of that work that making the connections, building bridges, having real experiences at the decision-making level is tied to what rooted me as an educator. As a public school teacher, that's how I built relationships with my families, with my students, parents, with their neighborhoods, and it was driven by this really humanizing approach to education.
Yeah.
And the reason why a role of an educator at the school board level is important is because we are on the ground seeing and responding to the decisions being made.
Yeah.
And it's, believe it or not, it's kind of rare to have public school teachers at a board level. It's an unpaid position. It's long hours while we still work full-time job. So it's an access issue. And that connects again to my work with families and with communities. How am I making it accessible? So now we have someone who understands that experience and brings it on the ground. So I'm in schools, I'm with community organizations, I'm talking with families in their language and explaining what we vote on, what we decide, what budget, curriculum, who are the people and personnel that will be guiding young people in San Francisco. And my biggest piece is access. Is it in the language? Is it during off hours? Is it accessible with childcare, with food provided, with the ways that really bring people together, the people who are most affected? And it tends to be people from my community.
Yes. Thank you for that. I've been working in this community and in the Bayview district and even in communities in East Oakland that I lived in. I lived in these communities I've lived in the 80s in East Oakland. I've worked in the 80s in East Oakland with young people, just advocating and listening to and looking at what they need and really just connecting them and to different resources and things like that. And even out here, right now, I'm working at a high school that is about 60% newcomer population, and I can't tell you how vital it is to have someone that looks like the students that are mostly in these our schools, right, in our public school system. What it means, because I see it. I'm coming from a CBO in an after school program. I'm an after school program manager, and I'm part of a CBO, and I'm coming in to have that more human approach, that community approach, community school approach, and really, I'm just connecting students. Like all the things, that I bring into to the school are to make sure that our students are not trying to, like, I feel like a lot of our students, some of what they go through as newcomers coming in, to our city, from other countries, a lot of times they're worried about finances more than their education. And so my thing is, how can I get you to earn some money after school so you can come throughout the day, do some things after school, and still get a little bit of money, right? So it's like I see that need. It's a reality for them. It's not, they don't have the privilege like others to not worry about their families in their countries, right? And so I'm all about like having the connection, to the things that I'm looking at. I see a need, I'm gonna meet it. I'm gonna meet the students where they're at, and so I really appreciate your approach. I appreciate that you are just kind of taking on and keep pushing forward, no matter what they're trying to do right now, coming against a lot of our people that we put there, that we voted for, there, and so. Before I let you go, if there's anything you would like to say to the voters out there, I gotta say, like, I don't know if like people do this, but I will say I did vote for you. So, I know we put great people in there. And just what do you want to say to the voters?
I'm really sitting with what you're sharing about, especially our newcomer students and the opportunities that we're providing. A lot of the work that I've been able to implement as a school board member is centered around those experiences, specifically understanding the Latino experience. And through that, we've been able to develop English language development classes in ethnic studies, which is one of those things that if people knew on the ground, English language students often don't get more opportunities to do art, to do several other activities because we want to help develop the English language. Mm-hmm. But as an educator, we know that that's connected to so many things. Mm-hmm. So we have ethnic studies in the ELD. We're developing ways for students who want to work, students who want to support their family, to be able to have the working time and then go to school during hours that work for them. Again, just accommodating the real life experience, yes. What we know will impact their learning if we can contribute to our families, our communities. Yes. And what I want people to recognize is that was the approach we've been taking since we've been on the board. There are so many other connections from our city systems: healthcare, access to food, safe transportation to and from school, that if that's not met, it impacts learning. Yeah. And we've been uplifting that for our entire time on the board to help people recognize yes. those realities. So in keeping us on, we can continue to promote yes. communities who are oppressed. We can continue to voice the very real needs mm-hmm. that they need met mm-hmm. if we want learning to happen, learning in an equitable way. Yes.
Thank you so much, Gabriela. If you could share any little message, really quick, brief message in Spanish, what would you like to say?
Yes. Bueno, pues mi trabajo siempre ha sido promover nuestra comunidad. Mi primer idioma es español y cuando yo iba a la escuela no había maestros que podían hablar con mis padres, no había gente que se veían como yo. Es la razón que yo me metí en educación y es la razón porque mis estudiantes pudieron ver a alguien como ellos, ser elegidos, ser presidente, sí. Poder tener acceso a las decisiones que los afectan a sus estudiantes. So, es un honor estar aquí y entiendo por qué los quieren sacar.
Sí.
Entiendo que nosotros estamos alentando a la gente que normalmente no tenemos la oportunidad y estamos enfrentando un esfuerzo con recursos, con dinero que los quieren sacar, pero tenemos que seguir luchando.
Sí, muchas gracias, Gabriela. Di tu nombre completo otra vez.
Gabriela López.
Gabriela López. Please Google her. You will find out a lot. But I feel like just so you know, we're here for you, Gabriela. We are here for you, and I'm happy for everything that you're doing. Gracias por todo lo que estás haciendo y sigue adelante y aquí estamos para apoyarte. Gracias.
Gracias.
Okay.